the Olympic qualifiers is here. Of course, the first leg encounter that will pick two teams that have got history, of course, between them. The battle for that final Olympic sport will come down to the Super Falcons of Nigeria against the Banyana Banyana of South Africa, two of the most biggest women's team on the African continent. They go head-to-head for a place at the 2024 Olympic Games in Paris. Nigeria have not been to the Olympic Games since 2008, and they're trying to break that jinx, but they will have to go past Desiree Ali's charges as they are the defending African champions. Coaches are talking tough already, but it remains to be seen what team will take the first leg advantage in this encounter. Let's listen to the coaches and, of course, the player representatives.
We don't really look back at what's happened the last two matches or really the last 10 matches with our opposition, because I think what we've worked with our players is to be present now in the moment with what we have. I think if you look back at those last two matches, if you look at our roster, it was a completely different roster than we've had since the World Cup. So I don't think you can put a lot of weight into that. Having said that, we certainly respect South Africa. We know what they bring. We know the talent that they possess, and we know they're a great side. But we feel very strongly that we've got we're the team to beat, and we feel very confident going into the match.
First, no pressure, in as much as other people have been there, and yeah, thing is we're going to try to change the narrative this time, do our best as a team to make sure we qualify. Yeah, so, and trying to lead the team, everybody's matured on the squad, so, and everybody could take care of themselves, so we're all doing everything humanly possible as a team to make sure that, yeah, we're fit for the game and ready for the game mentally.
Today is just, you know, testing out the pitch and crossing the T's and dotting the I's, and the game's tomorrow, so we're ready for the game. And we know it's going to be a tough match. Any game is a tough match, and you cannot underestimate anyone. Doesn't matter who you play against, because you underestimate the team at your own peril. And Nigeria are so many times African champions, you know, been there, done well at the World Cup. So you cannot take that for granted, and you've got to respect that. Whatever has happened in the past where we've come and played and won, that's history. That doesn't dictate what's going to happen tomorrow. Tomorrow's a completely new game. Tomorrow's a game is who wants it the most. You made a statement that they went in 2008 and would really love to go. Same with us. We didn't go 2020 and we would really love to go. You know, so it's going to be a game where we have to be on top of our game. We're going to have to bring our A game. We have to score the chances that we create, because we're a team that creates chances. You know, we just got to make sure that we don't concede. So it's going to be that type of game where I think it's going to be very, very tight, and the winner over two legs is going to have a tight result as well. But we obviously have come to any game you come to, you want to win, and I don't think we're any different. You know, it doesn't matter who you play against, you want to win the game. I think the same with Nigeria. They have similar ambition of winning the game, and I think that's going to make for a very tough encounter.
It's been a journey, like Coach said. It just didn't start the previous WAFCON, the previous World Cup. It's the number of years and the number of sacrifices, the hard work that we put throughout the years to get to where we are today, and keeps on being a journey. And having done well in the previous encounter in the World Cup, there's pressure to do well to go back to the Olympics. Both teams, powerhouses in Africa, would want to go and represent Africa. It's just unfortunate that the only one can go through, but we know the capabilities of both teams, and we're not taking any game for granted. We're going out there to make sure that we can achieve our mandate. And with the weather, since we arrived in Abuja, it's been great. It's been hot, humid, different conditions to what we've been experiencing in our respective countries where we play. But it's good that we're able to come in.
It is the battle of the Titans. 9-time African champions will be up against the defending champions on the continent. We've got this bragging rights to talk about, and I've got with me, of course, a South African football commentator and a writer all the way from Johannesburg. I've got Mac Streedom joining me very soon. Thank you so much, Mac, for joining us on In the Game today. I'm not supposed to keep these smiles with you, you know, being the fact that our countries will be going head-to-head today, of course, in Abuja. But I have to just talk about it professionally. All right, let's get into it. Mac, it is expected to be a close encounter between South Africa and 2022 Women African Cup of Nations winner, and Nigeria, who are 9-time continental champions. The Nigerian women, the national team, they have this incredible talent in every department. We'll talk about the goalkeeping department, the attack. We've got experienced players. They are built to overcome challenges. But can they, maneuver against this Banyana Banyana side, or should I turn it the other way around? Can Banyana Banyana, take advantage of this star-studded squad?
Hi, Onyinyechi. Lovely to see you again, and hello to the watchers. No, absolutely. I think what you sum it up really well. This is a huge game between arguably the two best teams in Africa, in women's teams in Africa, and that is it's hard. That one of these two aren't going to get to the Olympics is going to be tough for one of the countries. And yes, no, absolutely. I think in South Africa there's a total awareness, and there always has been in men's and women's football. Whenever we're playing against Nigeria, absolute awareness of how formidable Nigeria are to come up against, and for the South African women's team, for a very long time, it was almost impossible to beat the Super Falcons. And I think absolutely this is. When I listened to the two coaches as you played them just before speaking to me, the confidence of Randy Waldrum, I think, sums it up. I think Nigeria are the favorites, and yeah, and I think that goes back to the pedigree of the Super Falcons. It's immense. It's 11 out of 14 Women's Africa Cup of Nations titles, qualified for every single World Cup. So that is balanced to some extent. Yeah, of course, the South Africans will want to take some confidence by the last 5 matches where they've won 4 out of 5. They want to take confidence from the fact that they're the current African champions, and take confidence from a very encouraging World Cup performance in Australasia last year, as both teams had. So it's huge, and I think I would agree. In the tie overall, in the home leg, and for Nigeria, and the leg back in South Africa on Tuesday, Nigeria probably do have, I think, based on the squad, based on the strength of the squad, based on their performance in the last World Cup, where they really impressed at that World Cup, probably a little more than South Africa did. Nigeria probably would see themselves as the marginal favorites, but a really tough match for both teams, I think. And for South Africa, there's every chance, as given their recent record against Nigeria, and given their recent record in the Women's Africa Cup of Nations, and given their encouraging World Cup in Australasia. So yeah, huge match, and yeah, I think it's a big one, and it's a really tough one for both teams.
Okay, really a tough one indeed. I'll be hoping that the Banyana Banyana will not be coming for a revenge against the Super Falcons of Nigeria, looking at what the Super Eagles did to the Bafana at the African Cup of Nations in Côte d'Ivoire. But we can just let, sleeping dogs lie. Psychologically, Mac, I think the Falcons have been hit hard by the South Africans, and I'm hoping that today they will make it a three-peat against them. I remember that encounter at the Aisha Buhari Cup, not forgetting the Women's African Cup of Nations in 2022, when Desiree Lee's charges went ahead of the Super Falcons of Nigeria. But here today, laying the cards on the table, the Banyana Banyana, they arrived in Nigeria a day before the Falcons camp even opened, putting the Nigerian fans against the national team. Injuries also have come, taking a toll on the Nigerian Super Falcons team, as key defender Ashley Plumpton and Tosin Demain, they have been ruled out of this encounter. Can this be an advantage for Desiree Lees to go ahead of Randy Waldrum's charges?
I think any small advantage the South Africans will look to try to exploit, but I do think, Onyinyechi, the way you put it, Nigeria having good players in every department and so much depth, I'm not sure it'll affect Nigeria too much, but certainly the South Africa will be looking to that for a bit of confidence, as well as their recent record against Nigeria. I think also the South Africans will be definitely boosted by having some big players back from injury too. Refiloe, Janye, the captain, the Serie A base player, in midfield, Sibulele, Holweni, in midfield, and Bambanani Mbane, a defender who all of whom did well at the World Cup last year in New Zealand and Australia. On the other side of that, the star goalkeeper of South Africa at the moment, arguably, is Andile Dlamini, the Mamelodi Sundowns goalkeeper, who always does was the player of the tournament in the last Women's Champions League finals, where Sundowns have won two out of the last three tournaments. And Andile is injured. That shouldn't be too much of a blow for Banyana, even though she's a really great goalkeeper. Because Kaylin Swart was the player who was preferred a little controversially in the World Cup to Andile. So the players and impressed there. So the players
are you sure there is no undertone to Andile Dlamini's absence? Because really, Cote Desiree did not field Andile at all at the World Cup. And also we saw she was in top form in that World Cup. But now getting the news that she was injured, that's why she's not making it to this encounter against Nigeria. Are you sure there is no undertone to her absence?
So on this occasion, we have been informed that she is injured. Certainly at the World Cup, there was an undertone. And we, both Nigeria and South Africa have their experience of having trouble with their federations. Yeah. We know it was publicized what Nigeria, their problems were at the World Cup with pay and Randy Waldrum raising those issues. With Banyana Banyana, it was there was a player strike also just before the tournament, and there was a lot of speculation that Andile was overlooked in the tournament because of her role in that player strike. It's never been proved as such. She's never confirmed that. And SAFA have obviously always denied that.
I sure that has not been attached to her not being involved in this encounter today, because I also heard that news that she has been sidelined because she led the protest, the Banyana Banyana, against the South African Football Association.
Yeah. So that was always speculation. On this occasion, we're told she's injured. There might be more to it. Yeah, no, it's something, but on this occasion, we do believe she's injured. But yeah, that's there. I understand why you're asking the question, and there is always speculation when Andile is left out that it still goes back because to that issue in the player strike just before the World Cup, because she didn't play a match in the World Cup. But in terms of the game tomorrow, I guess the players know Kaylin quite well. Obviously know her very well. She's been a part of the squad for a long time and did a good job. There were some mistakes. I think Andile is still the better goalkeeper, but Kaylin actually made some superb saves in the World Cup and is a very competent goalkeeper. But there's always that speculation when Andile is not there, even though the coach is saying she's injured, that there's more to it. So yeah, but on this occasion, I do believe she's injured.
Okay, we'll short stay on that situation there, but I know you want to be a patriotic South African. They call you Nzanzis, and I am also a patriotic Nigerian, but I would like to hear from you. What do you think, or where do you think the pendulum will swing? How will this turn out, the results for this turn out today? It's a first leg encounter, you know.
It's sure. Like I said, I do think Nigeria, in terms of the player quality, and we know Randy, and I think also the return of Randy Waldrum to the team must boost them, I'm sure, because obviously he's had that absence for the last few months. And with the squad that Nigeria have is the same that they had at the World Cup, and if you look at their World Cup record, I do think they had a bit more of an impressive World Cup. They really attracted a lot of attention for their style of play, for only conceding 2 goals, for not actually losing a game in their 4 games in regulation time. Banyana Banyana conceded 6 goals in the group stage and another 2 in the last 16, 8 goals in total. So Banyana Banyana, the first South African senior national team to get to a second round of a World Cup. Huge achievement, but not quite as convincing as Nigeria. But they are the women's African champions at the moment, and in some of the big games recently, Italy in the third round at the World Cup, Morocco in the Women's Africa Cup of Nations final, the home team of the Women's Africa of the WAFCON, Banyana Banyana have really pulled out the stops. So it's a big one. They can do it. They absolutely can beat Nigeria. I think it's going to be so tight. It might be decided on away goals or penalties.
So what results are you seeing here? By numbers?
The result, if I have to predict with my head, I will predict a Nigeria win. With my heart, Banyana can certainly win this. And I'm still sitting on the fence there on Onyinyechi a little, but...
All right, we would be holding you.
I'll pick my neck out and say South Africa can take it.
Okay. Okay, we'll be holding you by that word there. But remember that they will have to go past the 12th man in Abuja over there, the Moshood Abiola Stadium. That's if they go past 9-time African champions. Thank you so much, Max Streetum, for talking to us today on In the Game. We appreciate your time on the show.
It's always a pleasure. I always enjoy the conversations. Thank you.
I also always enjoy.